Let me ask you a very simple math question. If your ultimate goal is to save $1 million, what is the halfway point? The obvious answer is $500,000, right? Wrong. In fact, thinking that $500,000 is halfway is exactly why so many people get discouraged and quit. You see, the human brain is wired to think in linear math. 1 plus 1 equals 2. In linear math, the journey to $1 million looks like climbing a steep mountain. Every single dollar takes the exact same amount of exhausting effort. But wealth doesn't build linearly. It builds exponentially. It doesn't look like a mountain climb. It looks exactly like a rocket launch. When a space shuttle leaves Earth, it burns about 90% of its total fuel just trying to escape the atmosphere. The beginning is violent, incredibly slow, and takes massive amounts of energy just to fight the pull of gravity. But once it breaks through the atmosphere and hits escape velocity, everything changes. There is no more friction. A tiny push of the thruster sends the ship gliding for millions of miles. Your money works the exact same way. Let's say you invest $1,000 a month at an average 8% return. To go from zero to $1 million takes 307 months. That's over 25 and a half years to reach the goal. But do you know what your account balance is at the halfway point? Let's think about this for a second. Okay, halfway in time is year 12 and a half. But at that point, your account isn't at $500,000. It's only at $250,000. Let that sink in. In the physics of wealth, $250,000 is almost the halfway point to $1 million. The first $250,000 takes exactly the same amount of time as the next $750,000 to get to $1 million. But what actually happens as you scale up? Why do so many people fail to reach the final destination? Because right after you hit six figures, you enter the most dangerous phase of the entire journey. A psychological shift happens. For the first time in your life, you look at your bank account and you feel rich. You spent years eating cheap food, driving a beat-up car, and budgeting every dollar. Your brain tells you, I made it. I deserve a reward. So you look at upgrading your car. You look at moving into a luxury apartment. You let your lifestyle inflate. But in terms of our rocket ship, inflating your lifestyle and stopping your investments is like turning off the thrusters right as you hit the upper atmosphere. You haven't hit escape velocity yet. The gravity of your new expensive lifestyle will pull you right back down. If you want to make it to $1 million, you have to ignore the illusion of being rich. Keep the thrusters burning. Because if you do, the jump from 100K to 200K takes just 4.5 years. From 200K to 300K takes less than 3.5 years. From 300K to 400K takes barely 2.5 years. The time between each milestone begins compressing. Why? Because your money is finally compounding on a massive base. Your returns are generating more cash than your actual job. Which brings us to the second massive inflection point on the path to $1 million. Life support autonomy. This autonomy happens when your portfolio hits around $500,000. At an 8% average return, a $500,000 portfolio generates $40,000 a year. In personal finance, $40,000 covers the absolute baseload survival expenses, housing, food, and transport for the average person. Your financial ship is now fully self-sustaining. The system generates enough background output to pay for its own life support while you sleep. When you hit this point, a profound psychological shift occurs. Normally, when your boss yells at you or demands you work the weekend, you panic. You desperately need the paycheck to survive. But when you are at $500,000, you have what financial experts call walk-away power. You know that if you quit today, your portfolio growth literally covers your basic survival while you find a better job. Paradoxically, this makes you better at your career. You take bigger risks. You negotiate harder. You speak your mind. Because the desperation is gone, you are operating from a place of absolute financial power. But it's not all sunshine. As you enter this deep space of high net worth, a new, terrifying threat emerges. Surviving a major market crash. When you were in the gravity phase and had $10,000 invested, a 20% market crash meant your portfolio dropped from $10,000 to $8,000. You lost $2,000. It's annoying, but you can save that back up in a few months. But when you have $500,000 invested, a A 20% drop means you just watched $100,000 vanish from your screen. That is a house down payment. That is multiple years of your salary, just gone in a matter of weeks. Human biology is not built to handle this. Every primal instinct in your brain will scream at you to sell your investments to stop the bleeding. When amateur investors see the gravity well of a crash, they panic and hit the eject button. But the wealthy, the master astronauts who actually make it to $1 million, they view crashes completely differently. They don't see a disaster. They see the greatest Black Friday sale in the history of the world. Because they are still contributing every month, their automated deposits are now buying shares of the best companies on Earth at a massive discount. It's like a farmer planting seeds during a drought while everyone else is hoarding their grain in terror. When the rain finally comes, and historically the market always recovers, the farmer who planted during the panic reaps an unbelievable harvest. If you can survive the psychology of the crash without selling, you enter the final phase, which is the deep space sprint. This is where exponential math becomes almost incomprehensible. Remember, getting your first $100,000 took over 6 grueling years of extreme discipline. But going from $800,000 to $900,000, that takes barely a single year. Going from $900K to your first $1 million, depending on market conditions, that final $100K can happen in mere months. Each $100K milestone takes less time than the last. It happens so fast you almost miss it. You didn't work any harder. You didn't contribute more money. You just let the absolute raw power of compounding do the heavy lifting for you. When you finally cross that 7-figure mark, you will realize a profound truth. $1 million wasn't made in the last year. It was made during those boring, tedious nights a decade ago, when you decided to invest your money instead of blowing it. It was made when you kept pushing the boulder up the hill, even when it felt like your portfolio was doing absolutely nothing. You were building the engine. You were generating the escape velocity. And once you break gravity, the universe is yours. If you are watching this and you are still in the gravity phase, grinding to your first 100K or 200K, listen to me carefully. Do not let off the gas. Do not inflate your lifestyle. Do not panic when the market drops. You are not doing it wrong at all. The math is just taking its time. Stay the course and let the curve catch up to you. I want to know exactly where you are on your journey. Drop a comment below right now and tell me, are you in the gravity phase building your first 100K, or are you in deep space? If this math changed how you view investing, hit that subscribe button to join the rocket ship. Keep compounding, stay disciplined, and I will see you in the next one.